we're sort of beyond kind of the big mind art of the possible. And we're now getting into how can I actually apply AI to my business and what are the barriers associated with AI. So a lot of the axioms that have always applied to tech apply here, which is, things like garbage in, garbage out. You got to get your data organized. You've got to understand how to structure your data in order to make sense and in order to be able to synthesize your data, in order to make better decisions with your data. And so we're spending a lot of time talking with customers around the choices they make around their data, how they invest in their data, and how they can really think about structuring it for a world where they're going to be making decisions that they're potentially synthesizing and getting output from AI.
Carol knows this. I've been completely obsessed with the sort of two different schools of thought when it comes to the development of artificial general intelligence, AGI, especially in the wake of everything that happened at OpenAI. Sam Altman, you came on and spoke to us during that crisis. I don't know if I could call it a crisis, actually. During the drama. Let's call it drama.
The thing.
The thing, yeah.
That's right.
Are you spend, you're in this day in and day out. Is there any sort of reality to the idea that artificial general intelligence is something we as a human species should be concerned about?
Oh, absolutely. There is. It's going to take a while for us to get to that point. And I think that seeing companies start to come together and have a discussion around the responsibility and not necessarily doing it after the horses have left the proverbial barn is very, very important. And I think we're starting to be able to elevate that discussion. But I definitely believe that the ability to do harm and the ability to spin people up with misinformation, those are things you can just start to see on the horizon, where we really have to think about what is the provenance of that decision or of that data. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think we're going to see governments start to require, okay, you've been told something, but what was the source of that? Where did that information come from?
Sounds like journalism.
A little bit.
No, I mean, a lot of it. Like I used to think about when I started, this idea, you had to know what the source of the material was, right? And whether it was a perspective or point of view, so subjective versus objective, or data points, who supplied it. So it's kind of interesting to hear you say that. But I do wonder, what's it going to take, Crawford? Are we going to be kind of chasing just like we were in social media, right? Where's the policing still
sadly,
there?
I think companies are going to try to get ahead of this. I think governments are going to try to get ahead of it, but we are going to be chasing it for a long time. I mean, what happens when someone can apply AI to a social engineering piece of ransomware that works really, really well, and I'd like to have 30 by tomorrow morning? What happens when someone can say, "Ooh, you know what? If I alter the code of that genome, I can create a new kind of a virus, and I'd like 10,000 by tomorrow." These are the really horrible things that people could do with generative AI to really think about setting loose a new generation of malware in a way we're not really thinking about.